Good morning, everyone. It is May the 10th, 2016. Time to kick off this week's Treasury auction, where we will auction 3, 10, and 30-year paper. Hard to break a market on 3-year paper. It has happened about 5 times over the last year on 2 or 3-year paper where the market has actually been lower. But usually we end up with a trading range with an up bias. We came in last night. We wanted to buy 17s to 13s. We'd circled 21s. About to get in, obviously 28. The buck is resistance. We have very little news today to drive the trading, very little news overnight. Most of the news centered on crude oil rebounded, therefore equities are up. The yen is down, therefore equities are up. So no hard news to drive the trading. Today we have jolts. 5.55 is the only estimate I could find. Last month came in 5.44. Wholesale trade plus 0.3. No one will pay any attention to either of these numbers. For treasuries, it'll be the 3-year auction and the direction of the E-mini. And here we find ourselves. So I think we have an auction with an upward bias. So day with an upward bias. So buy 1, 17 to 21. Buy 2, 9 to 13. On the sell side, 27 to 31, sell 1. Like the long side better, 3 to 7, sell 2. Pretty sad news overnight. Out of Germany, 1 person stabbed, 3 and died. 3 others wounded. The culprit, this is south of Munich, was an assailant who was screaming Allah Akbar. And you know, we sit back. This is self-inflicted wounds. And I mean, if you're a bureaucrat or a leader in these countries where you're surrounded by protection 24/7, you're escorted everywhere you go, it's going to be pretty hard to get to you. But for the average citizen that lives out there, you're not really safe under these circumstances. And if you circumstances find you living in the inner city in the United States, like it or not, you're just surrounded by bad guys and bad news, and can get caught in the crossfire pretty easily. Okay, 20 to 24 is going to be our first resistance band. 27.31, sell 1. 7 to 11, sell 2. On the downside, 8 to 12, going to be first area of potential support. 1 to 5, buy 1. And 25 to 29, buy 2. Like the long side better because of the 3-year auction. People really don't understand that militant jihad is about conquering territory and killing infidels or converting them. And there's 2 classes of conversion. They'll allow you to leave if you have the resources to pay them a tax, and you can survive as a lower class citizen. And if you don't have assets and the rest of it, if you don't convert, you can be killed. And we see this going on daily. And we sit back and think that it can't happen here. We've been blessed by a lot of ocean between us, and where the worst of it's happening right now. But you can import them, and you can bring little pockets of this. And several cities have these problems already in the United States. Okay, looking at gold, we're going to do a London split. We came in last night wanting to sell basically 70 against 70. We almost got there, so we'll keep the same points we had yesterday, 69.71. Could trade up today. Looks like it's pointed higher, 73.75, sell 2. On the buy side, 60.62. high volume number at 56 will make 55, 57 buy 2. Looking at the euro. Crude oil, when it busts, usually the next day is a pause day. When it rallies, it can rally for a couple of days, but when it gets hit really, really hard, the next day can find, we'll just pause consolidation. And if crude oil is the engine that's driving all markets, and I do think central banks have figured out that it's easier to, cheaper to support the market through manipulating the price of oil than it is to support it through QE and the rest of the programs that they've devised. So I think crude oil is going to stay in a trading range myself. I don't see it as weak as other people. Okay, 14.10 sell 1, really where we were yesterday. 20 to 30 sell 2. On the buy side, 13.75. That's where we were last night. Then 13.50. So I don't see any changes there. Trading range markets. Not a lot going on. No news to speak of overnight. No news on schedule this morning. Okay, crude. You can just big days. I mean, yesterday was huge, and when we come in and we take a look at crude, I mean, we had right at 46, and yesterday's lows were 43 and a quarter. 270 ticks. After that type of selling, the market is looking for where resistance is, and then one obvious point would be at 43.75, this high volume number off the F1 screen. And in go with markets, the safest place for resting limit orders, buy or sell, is against these high volume numbers. So a limit sell against 92. Not perfect, but pretty damn good. So 43.75, 44 sell 1, 44 and a quarter, 44.50 sell 2. On the buy side, we may have seen the lows, maybe one more stab down lower. So I'm going to put a question mark at 25. Maybe stops below 43, so 42.75, 43. As we've talked about the last couple of weeks, 42.50 is a low volume number. Then we have the attractor down here at 41.60. So the 41.50, 41.75. If we get through this 42.50 area, would be the next stop. So we'll make it 42 and a quarter, 42.50 by 2. Like the short side, looks like we may have found resistance at 44, which would make sense, a round number. Okay, equities around the globe are higher because of a lower yen and the selling in crude stopped. So if we're tied to the price of crude oil looks like it's going to trade lower, but my guess is it probably won't break. So when you take a look at these single prints where the market just really spilled quickly, getting about 50% into those is usually where the market's headed when it comes back to retest it. So went a little bit higher, not perfect, but pretty close. Mark this chart, print this chart, mark this high versus this 50% over here. I have a new move out of the middle. Last rotate up was 63. We're currently at 60. So 64, 69, sell 1. And 74, 79, sell 2. On the buy side, 55, 57, buy 1. Buy 2, 50 to 52. So basically we're trying to buy 50s to 55s, trying to sell 65s to 70s to get going. If crude continues to sell today, I would expect the stock market to be a little lower, but probably not break given the lack of news. Carl Icahn made zero hedge today, talking about he's 150% short. Now, how can you be 150% short? Maybe leverage. Maybe they're talking about he's borrowed money to do that, which also increases the pressure on one when you're not right. Ain't nothing like a margin call, especially when your back is to the wall. Okay, Jolt's looking for 5.55 according to Forex. That's the only estimate I have on Jolt's. Nobody pays attention to it. Wholesale trade at plus 0.3. That's it for the news. So maybe a 250 minus market, 275 plus here for the next day or two until the news changes. You're going to take a bit to get everything up and done, posted, etc. I'm a little bit behind today. I will be with you as soon as possible.